Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamadam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनारित्यन्दस्तो यपत्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नस्तप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the person of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the person of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
O Hare Krishna, Siddharth Prabhu, Dandar Pram, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Dharma Pranjay Shri Prabhupada.
Okay, we continue Canto 4, Chapter 14, text number 28.
All right, Prabhu. So shall I begin reading? I mean, we are resuming after like 3-4 sessions, right?
Yes,
3-4
Prabhu,
days
like,
we didn't read.
yeah.
All right, cool.
This one was like Thursday, maybe, or Friday. I
All right,
think
Prabhu.
Thursday, yeah.
So shall I begin?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Tasman mam karmadhe vipra ijadhvam gata mastaraha balim cha mayam harata matto anya kako grabuk puman tasmat. For this reason, mam may karma bihi, by ritualistic activities, vipraha, or brahmanas, yajadvam, worship, gata, without, matsaraha, being envious, balim, paraphernalia for worship, cha, also, mayam, unto me, harta, bring, mataha, than me, anya, other, ka, kaha, who is, agrabhuk, the enjoyer of the first oblations, Kuman personality. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Was it
Jai.
correct, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh. King Vena continued, for this reason, O Brahmanas, you should abandon your envy of me, and by your ritualistic activities, you should worship me and offer me all paraphernalia. Wait, King Vena, okay. If you're intelligent, you should know that there is no personality superior to me who can accept the first oblations of all sacrifices. Purport. As stated by Krishna himself throughout Bhagavad Gita, there is no truth superior to him. King Vena was imitating the supreme personality of Godhead and was also speaking out of false pride, presenting himself as the supreme lord. These are all characteristics of a demonic person. Text 29. Maitreya Vacha. You can show me the Sanskrit also. Yeah. Itham viparyayam matihi pa papiyanto yanutan yanutpatam gataha danchan na chakre mrashta mangalaha. Maitreya Vacha, Maitreya said, Itham, thus, Viparya Matihi, one who has one who has developed perverse intelligence, Papiyan, most sinful, Uttapadam, from the right path, Gataha, having gone, Anuniyamanaha, being offered all respect, Tat Yachanam, the request of the sages, Na, not, Chakre, accepted, Brashtaha, bereft of, Mangalaha, all good fortune. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued. Thus, the king, who became unintelligent due to his sinful life and deviation from the right path, became actually bereft of all good fortune. Thus, he could not accept the request of the great sages, which the sages put before him with great respect, and before he was condemned. Purport. The demons certainly cannot have any faith in the words of authorities. In fact, they are always disrespectful to authorities. They manufacture their own religious principles and disobey great personalities like Vyasa, Narada, and even the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. As soon as one disobeys authority, he immediately becomes very sinful and loses his good fortune. The king was so puffed up and impudent that he dared disrespect the great saintly personalities, and this brought him ruination. Text 30. Iti te askrtan kritasena dvijaha pandita manina bhagyam bhagyayam machayan machayachanyam tasmai vidurat chukruduhu iti. Thus, they, all the great sages, asat kritaha, being insulted, tena, by the king, dvijaha, the brahmanas, pandita manina, thinking himself to be very learned, bhagya bhagnayam, being broken, bhavya, auspicious, yachanyam, the request, tasmai, at him, vidura, O vidura, chukruduhu, became very angry. Translation. My dear Vidura, all good fortune unto you. The foolish king who thought himself to be very learned thus insulted the great sages, and the sages, being broken hearted by the king's words, became very angry at him. Text 31. Hanyatam hanyatamesha papaha prakriti darunaha jivam cha gadasavashu kurute bhasmasad dhruvam. Hanyatam, kill him. Hanya, Hanyatam, kill him. Ishaha, this king. Papaha, representative of sin. Pra- Prakriti, by nature. Darunaha, most dreadful. Jivan, while living. Jagat, the whole world. Asav, he. Asu, very soon. Kurute, will make. Bhasma, Bhasmasat, into ashes. Dhruvam, certainty. Translation. All the great saintly sages immediately cried, kill him, kill him. He is the most dreadful, sinful person. If he lives, he will certainly turn the whole world into ashes in no time. Purport: saintly persons are generally very kind to all kinds of living entities, but they are not unhappy when a serpent or a scorpion is killed. It is not good for a saintly person to kill, but they are encouraged to kill demons who are exactly like serpents and scorpions. Therefore, all the saintly sages decided to kill King Vena, who was so dreadful and dangerous to all human society. We can appreciate the extent to which the saintly sages actually control the king. If the king or government becomes demonic, it is a duty of a saintly person to upset the government and replace it with deserving persons who follow the orders and instructions of saintly persons. Text 32. Nayam, 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 Nayam Hartya Sadhadvritto Naradeva Varasanam Yodhi Yagyapatim Vishnum Vina Vina Vininandatya Patraha Vininandatyana Patrapaha. Na, never. I am this man. Arhati deserves. Asat Vrataha, full of impious activities. Naradeva, Naradeva, of the worldly king or worldly god. Vara Asanam, the exalted throne. Yaha, he who. Adignya Patim, master of all sacrifices. Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Vinindati, insults. Ana, Anapatrapaha, shameless. Translation: the saintly sages continued, this impious, impudent man does not deserve to sit on the throne at all. He is so shameless that he even dared insult the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. Purport: one should not at any time tolerate blasphemy and insults against Lord Vishnu or his devotees. A devotee is generally very humble and meek, and he is reluctant to pick a quarrel with anyone. Nor does he envy anyone. However, a pure devotee immediately becomes fiery with anger when he sees that Lord Vishnu or his devotee is insulted. This is the duty of a devotee. Although a devotee maintains an attitude of meekness and gentleness, it is a great fault on his part if he remains silent when the Lord of or his devotee is blasphemed. Text 33. Kod venam parichakshita vene venam me kamrateya shubham prapta idhyashameishwaryam यदनु यदनुग्रह भाजनः कह who wa indeed enam the Lord pari, parichakshita would blaspheme venam king vena ekam alone rite but for ashubham inauspicious praptaha having obtained idrisham like this aishwaryam opulence yat whose anugraha mercy Bha, Bhajanaha, receiving. Translation: but for King Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who would blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence. Purport: when human society, individually or collectively, becomes godless and blasphemes the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is certainly destined for ruination. Such a civilization invites all kinds of bad fortune due to not appreciating the mercy of the Lord. Text 34. Itham Vyavasita han- Hantum Rasyorudha Manyavaha Nija Gunur Hunkrutervenam Hatam Achyuta Nindaya Itham. Thus Vyavasitaha decided Antam to kill Rasyayaha, the sages, Rudha manifested, Manyavaha, their anger, Nichagunuhu, they killed, Hamkritai, by angry words or by sounds of hum, Venam, King Vena, Hatam, dead, Achyuta, against the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nindaya, by blasphemy. Translation. The great sages, thus manifesting their covert anger, immediately decided to kill the king. King Vena was already as good as dead due to his blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, without using any weapons, the sages killed King Vena simply by high sounding words. Text 35. Rishibihi swa shramadpadam gatte putra kalevaram sunitha palayamasa vid vidyayogena shochati. Rishibihi, by the sages, swa ashramapadam, to their own respective hermitage, Gate, having returned, Putra, of her son, Kalevaram, the body, Sunita, mother of King Vena, Alayam, Asa, preserved, Vidya Yogena, by mantra and ingredients, Shochati, while lamenting. Translation. After all the sages returned to their respective hermitages, the mother of King Vena, Sunita, became very much aggrieved because of her son's death. She decided to preserve the dead body of her son by the application of certain ingredients and by chanting mantras. Mantra Yogena. Oh wow. Text 36. Ekada munya munayaste munayaste tu sarakhatsalila putaha putva grinna satkatha शुक्रु उपविष्टाः सरितटे सरितटे ekada, once upon a time, Munayaha, all those great saintly persons, say, they, too, then, Saraswat of the river Saraswati, Salila in the water, Aplutaha, bathed, Bhutva, offering oblations, Agnihi into the fires, Satkataha, discussions about transcendental subject matters, Chakruhu, began to do Upavishtaha, sitting, Saritate, Saritate, by the side of the river. Translation. Once upon a time, the same saintly persons, after taking their bath in the river Saraswati, began to perform their daily duties by offering oblations into the sacrificial fires. After this, sitting on the bank of the river, they began to talk about the transcendental person and his pastimes. Text 37. Vikshotitham Vikshotithtanstadotpatan ahulor ahurlokamayan karan nyap nyapyamadramanathaya dasyumano na bhaved bhuchah bhaved bhuvaha. Viksha, having seen, Uthit, Uthitan, developed, Tada, then, Utpatan, disturbances, Ahuhu, they began to say, Loka, in city, Bhayam, Karan, causing panic, Api, weather, Abhadram, misfortune, Anatayaha, having no ruler, das, dasyubhyaha, from the thieves and rogues, not bhavet, may happen, bhuvaha, of the world. Translation. In those days, there were various disturbances in the country that were creating panic in the society. Therefore, all the sages began to talk amongst themselves. Since the king is dead, there's no protector in the world. Misfortune may befall the people in general on account of rogues and thieves. Purport. Whenever there is disturbance in the state or a panic situation, the property and lives of the citizens become unsafe. This is caused by the uprising of various thieves and rogues. At such a time, it is to be understood that the ruler of the government is dead. All of these misfortunes happened due to the death of King Vena. Thus, the saintly persons became very anxious for the safety of the people in general. The conclusion is that even though saintly persons have no business in political affairs, they are nonetheless always compassionate upon the people in general. Thus, even though they are always aloof from society, still out of mercy and compassion, they consider how the citizens can peacefully execute the rituals and rules and regulations of Varnashrama Dharma. That was the concern of these sages. In this age of Kali, everything is disturbed. Therefore, saintly persons should take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as recommended in the Shastras. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Naima, Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti Eva Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatir Anyatha. Both for spiritual and material prosperity, everyone should devotedly chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Very good. Text 38. एवं मृषन्त ऋषयो धावन धावतां सर्वतो दिशं पांसुः समुत्थितो भूरि भूरिश् चोरा चोराणां चोराणाम् अभिलुम्पताम् एवं thus Prashantah, while considering Rishyah, the great saintly persons, Dhavatam, running, Sha, Sarvatah, Disham, from all directions, Pamshuhu, dust, Samuttitaha, arose, Burihi, much, Choranam, from thieves and rogues, Avilompatam, engaged in plundering. Translation. When the great sages were carrying on their discussion in this way, they saw a dust storm arising from all directions. This storm was caused by the running of thieves and rogues who were engaged in plundering the citizens. Purport. Thieves and rogues simply await some political upset in order to take the opportunity to plunder the people in general. To keep thieves and rogues inactive in their profession, a strong government is always required. Text 39, 40. तदुपद्रवम पत्- तदुपद्रवमाज्ञाय लोकस्य वसु लुम्पतां मृत मृत्तर मृत्तर्युपरते तस्मिन् अन्योन्यं च जिधासतां चोरप्रायं जनपदं हीनसत् हीनसत्तमराजकं लोक अ- anya I can't read the last one. From could you go down to English? Yeah. Lokan navarayan chakta apita dosha darshinaha tat at that time upadravam the disturbance agnyaya agnyaya understanding lokasya of the people in general, vasu, riches, lumpatam by those who are plundering, bharatari, the protector, uparate being dead, tasmin king vena, anyoyam one another, cha also, jigam satam desiring to kill, chora prayam full of thieves, janapadam the state, hina bereft of sattvam regulation, Arajakam without a king, Lokan the thieves and rogues, Na not Avarayan they subdued, Shakataha able to do so, Api although that dosha the fault of that, Darshinaha considering. Translation: upon seeing the dust storm, the saintly persons could understand that there was a great deal of irregularities due to the death of King Vena. Without government, the state was devoid of law and order, and consequently, there was a great uprising of murderers, thieves, and rogues who were plundering the riches of the people in general. Although the great sages could subdue the disturbance by their powers, just as they could kill the king, they nonetheless considered it improper on their part to do so. Thus, they did not attempt to stop the disturbance. Purport: the saintly persons and great sages killed King Vena out of emergency. But they did not choose to take part in the government in order to subdue the uprising of thieves and rogues, which took place after the death of King Vena. It is not the duty of Brahmanas and saintly persons to kill, although they may sometimes do so in the case of an emergency. They could kill all the thieves and rogues by the prowess of their mantras, but they thought it is the duty of Kshatriya kings to do so. Thus, they reluctantly did not take part in the killing business. Text 41. Brahmana samadrak shanto dīnānaṁ samupekshakah savatte brahmatasyapi भिन्ना mandatpayo yatha. Brahmanaha, a brahmana, samadrak, equipoised, sana, santaha, peaceful, dīnānaṁ, the poor, samupekshakaha, grossly neglecting, shravate, diminishes, Brahma, spiritual power, Tasya, his, Api, certainly, Bhinna, Bhanda, from a cracked pot, Payaha, water, Yataha, just as. Translation: the great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. Ah. Purport: Brahmanas, the topmost section of human society, are mostly devotees. They are generally not aware of the happenings within the material world because they're always busy in their activities for spiritual advancement. Nonetheless, when there is a calamity in human society, they cannot they cannot remain impartial. If they do not do something to relieve the distressed condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit. But Prahlad Maharaja said that he did not want liberation alone. He decided to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Very bold. In their in their elevated condition, the Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. There are two types of Brahmanas, namely Brahmana Pandita and Brahmana Vaishnava. A qualified Brahmana is naturally very learned, but when his learning is advanced in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes a Brahmana Vaishnava. Unless he becomes a Vaishnava, one's perfection of Brahmanical culture is incomplete. The saintly persons considered very wisely that although King Vena was very simple, he was nonetheless born in a family descending from Dhruva Maharaja. Therefore, the semina in the family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava. As such, the sages wanted. Could you go back up, Prabhu? As such, the sages wanted to take some steps to relieve the situation. For want of a king, everything was being disturbed and turned topsy-turvy. Text 42. Na nagasya vamsho rajarshesha samsthatumarhati amoghavit amogha virya hinra viryan hi nrapa vanshesmin keshavashrayah na not angasya of King Anga, Vamshaha family line, Raja Rishe of the saintly king, Esha this samstatum to be stopped, Arhati ought Amoga without sin, powerful Viryaha, their semina, he because Nrapaha, kings, Vamshe in the family, Asmin this Keshava of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ashrayaha under the shelter. Translation. The sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly king Anga should not be stopped because in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. Purport. The the purity of hereditary succession is called Amoga Virya. The pious seminal succession in the twice born family of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, especially as well in the family of Vaishyas, also must be kept very pure by the observation of the purificatory process, beginning with Garbhadhana Samskara, which is observed before giving birth to a child. Unless this purificatory process is strictly observed, especially by the Brahmanas, the family descendants become impure and gradually simple activities become visible in the family. Maharaja Anga was very pure because of the purification of Semina and the family of Maharaja Dhruva. However, his seminar became contaminated in association with his wife Sunita, who happened to be the daughter of death personified. Because of this polluted seminar, King Vena was produced. This was a catastrophe in the family of Dhruva Maharaja. All the saintly kings, all the saintly persons and sages considered this point and they decided to take action in this manner as described in the following verses. Next 43. विनिश्चित्ये चित्यैवं ऋषयो विपानस्य महीपतेः मामानुद्धुर् तरसा तत्राशिद् बाहुको नरः विनिश्चित्य deciding evam thus Rasyaha the great sages Vipanasya dead Mahipatehe of the king Ma- Mamanuthu churned Urum the thrice Tarasa with specific power Tatra thereupon Asit was born Bahukaha of the name Bahuka Naraha a person. Translation. After making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churn the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force according to a specific method. As the result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. Uh, Purport. That that a person was born by churning the thighs of King Vena proves that the spirit soul is individual and separate from the body. The great sages and saintly persons could beget another person from the body of the dead King Vena, but it is not possible for them to bring King Vena back to life. King Vena was gone, and certainly he had taken another body. The saintly persons and sages are only concerned with the body of King Vena because it was a result of the seminal succession in the family of Maharaja Durva. Consequently, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were in the body were in the body of King Vena. By a certain process, when the thighs of the dead body were churned, another body came out. Although dead, the body of King was preserved by drugs and mantras chanted by King Vena's mother. In this way, the ingredients for the production of another body were there. When the body of the person named Bahuka came out of the dead body of King Vena, it was really not very astonishing. It was simply a question of knowing how to do it. From the semina of one body, another body is produced, and the life symptoms visible to souls taking shelter of this body. One should not think that it was impossible for another body to come out of the dead body of Maharaja Vena. This was performed by the skillful action of the sages. Prabhu, can someone else take over now? If you don't mind.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you, Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Who would like to read next? We have around 20 minutes left.
Okay, if no one can read, I can still read. I thought I can give a chance to someone else.
Like Hare
Oh,
Krishna
you want to
Prabhu.
read, Vaibhav? Wonderful. Go ahead.
Prabhu, like I'm clear or what, Prabhu? For you?
It's a little
Voice
noisy,
noise,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Like I'm traveling to make out.
Okay, then it's fine,
Yes,
Prabhu. I'll
Prabhu.
continue
So
reading. I'll finish
Prabhu,
reading.
can
Take
I
your time.
read?
Okay, Rishikesh. Yes, Prabhu. Please. Thank you.
Kak Krishnoti Rasmango Rishava Bahur Maha Kuna Rishvapan Nima Nasakro Raktakshas Tamra Mrutaja. Synonyms: Kak Krishna, black as a crow. Ati Hrisva, very short. Anga, his limbs. Hrisva, short. Bahu, his arms. Maha, big. Hanu, his jaws. Hrishva, short. Pat, his legs. Nimna, flat. Nasa Agraha, the tip of his nose. Rakta, reddish. Aksha, his eyes. Tamra, copper-like. Murdhaja, his hair. Translation purport by Sri Gracie Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: This person, born from King Vena's thighs, was named Pahuka, and his complexion was as black as a crow. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper-colored. Text 45. तं तु ते वानतं दिनं किं करोमीति वादिनं निषिद्धेत्यब्रुवांस्तथा स निषदस्ततो भवात्. Synonyms: unto him, to then, they the sages, avanatam, bowed down, dinam. Probably you can scroll down a bit. Meek, kim, what, karomi, shall I do? Iti, thus, vadinam, inquiring. Nishta, just sit down. Iti, thus, Abruvan, they replied. Tata, my dear Vidura, Saha, he, Nishada, of the name Nishada, Tata, thereafter, Abhavat, became. Translation: He was very submissive, meek, and immediately after his birth he bowed down and inquired, Sirs, what shall I do? The great sages replied, Please sit down, Nishida. Thus Nishida, the father of the Nishida race, was born. Purport: It is said in the Shastras that the head of the body represents the Brahmanas, the arms represent the Kshatriyas, the abdomen represents the Vaishyas, and the legs, beginning with the thighs, represent the Shudras. The Shudras are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Shukla or white, and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are a mixture of black and white. However, those who are extraordinarily white are are to have are said to have skin produced out of white leprosy. It may be concluded that white or golden hue is the color of the higher caste, and black is the complexion of the Shudras. Text 46. Tasya vamshyas tu naishada girikanana gochara yena haraj jaya jayamano vena kalmasham ulbanam. Tasya, his Nishidas, Vamshya descendants, to then Naishada, called Naishadas, Giri Kanana, the hills and forests, Gochara, inhabiting Yena, because Arat he took upon himself, Jayamanaha, being born, Vena, of King Vena, Kalmasham, all kinds of sins, Ulbanam, very fearful. Translation: After his Nishida's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishida class is always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests. Purport: The Nishidas are not allowed to live in the cities and towns because they are sinful by nature. As such, their bodies are very ugly and their occupations are also sinful. We should, however, know that even the sinful men, who are sometimes called Kiratas, can be delivered from their sinful condition to the topmost Vaishnava platform by the mercy of a pure devotee. Engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord can make anyone, however sinful he may be, fit to return go back to Godhead. One has only to become free from all contamination by the process of devotional service. In this way, everyone can become fit to return home back to Godhead. This is confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita. Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepi syuh papayonaya striyo vaishyas tata shudras tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, though they be born of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras workers, can approach the supreme destination. Bhagavad Gita 9:32. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the fourth canto, 14th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Story of King Vena. Haribol. Chapter 15. King Prithu's appearance and coronation. Text 1. मैत्रेय उवाच अथा तस्य पुनर्विप्रैरपुत्रस्य महीपते बाहुभ्यं मिथुनां सम्पदायते. Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya continued to speak. Atha, thus, tasya his, puna again, viprai by the Brahmanas, aputrasya without a son, mahipate of the king, bahubhyam from the arms, mathyam nabhayam being churned, Mithunam, a couple, Sampadayate, took birth. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, thus the Brahmanas and the great sages churned the two arms of King Vena's body. As a result, a male and a female couple came out of his arms. Text 2. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना ऊचु परमसन्तुष्टा विदित्वा Bhagavatkam that drishtva seeing Mithunam couple Jatam born Russia, the great sages Brahmavadina very learned in Vedic knowledge, Uchu said Parama very much Santushta being pleased, Viditva knowing Bhagavata of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kalam expansion. Translation. The great sages were highly learned in Vedic knowledge. When they saw the male and female born of the arms of Vena's body, they were very pleased, for they could understand that the couple was an expansion of the plenary portion of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The method adopted by the great sages and scholars who were learned in Vedic knowledge was perfect. They removed all the reactions of King Vena's sinful activities. By seeing that King Vena first gave birth to Bahuka, described in the previous chapter. After King Vena's body was thus purified, a male and female came out of it, and the great sages could understand that this was an expansion of Lord Vishnu. This expansion, of course, was not Vishnu Tattva, but a specifically empowered expansion of Lord Vishnu, known as Avesha. Text 3. ऋषय ऊचु एष विष्णुर्भागवता कालभुवनपालिनी इयं च लक्ष्म्य सम्भूति पुरुषस्यानपायिनी. Rishya Ucho, the sages said, Esha, the male, Vishnu of Lord Vishnu, Bhagavata of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kala, expansion, Bhuvana Palini, who maintains the world, Iyam, this female, Cha, also. Oh, you can scroll down a bit. Lak- Lakshmya, of the goddess of fortune, Sambhuti, expansion, Purushasya, of the Lord, Anapayini, inseparable. Translation. The great sages said, the male is a plenary expansion of the power of Lord Vishnu, who maintains the entire universe, and the female is a plenary expansion of the goddess of fortune, who is never separated from the Lord. Purport. The significance of the goddess of fortunes never being separated from the Lord is clearly mentioned herein. People in the material world are very fond of the goddess of fortune, and they want her favor in the form of riches. They should know, however, that the goddess of fortune is inseparable from Lord Vishnu. Materialists should understand that the goddess of fortune should be worshipped along with Lord Vishnu and should not be regarded separately. Materialists seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune must worship Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi together to maintain material opulence. If a materialist follows the policy of a Ravana who wanted to separate Sita from Lord Ramachandra, the process of separation will vanquish him. Those who are very rich and have taken favor of the goddess of fortune in this world must engage their money in the service of the Lord. In this way, they can continue in their opulent position without disturbance. Text 4. Ayam tu prathamo राज्ञं पुमान् प्रार्थितयशः पृथुर्नाम महाराजो भविष्यति पृथुष्वा. Ayam, this too then Prathama, the first Rajñam of the kings Puman the male, Pratyayita will expand Yasha, reputation, Prithu, Maharaj Prithu, name by name, Maharaja, the great king, Bhavishyati will become, Prithu Shava of wide renown. Translation: Of the two, the male will be able to expand his reputation throughout the world. His name will be Prithu. Indeed, he will be the first among kings. Purport: There are different types of incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Shastras, it is said that Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva and Ananta are all very powerful incarnations of the Brahman feature of Lord. Similarly, Shachipati or Indra, the king of heaven, is an incarnation of the lusty feature of the Lord. Aniruddha is an incarnation of the Lord's mind. Similarly, King Prithu is an incarnation of the ruling force of the Lord. Thus, the saintly king and great sages predicted the future activities of King Prithu, who was already explained as a partial incarnation of this plenary expansion of the Lord. Text 5. Iyam cha Shrudati देवी गुणभूषणभूषण अर्चिर्नामवरोहा पृथुम् एवावरुन्दिता वरुन्धति Yam, this female child, Cha and Sudati, who has very nice teeth, Devi, the goddess of fortune, Guna, by good qualities, Bhushana, ornaments, Bhushana, who beautifies, Archi, name by name, Vara, Aroha, very beautiful, Prithum, unto King Prithu, Eva, certainly, Avarundati, being very much attached. Translation: The female has such beautiful teeth and beautiful qualities that she will actually beautify the ornaments she wears. Her name will be Archi. In the future, she will accept King Prithu as her husband. Text 6. ईशा साक्षात् धरेर् अंशो जातो लोकारिरक्ष्य इयं च तत्परा हि श्रीरनुजा चाच्ने नापयनि napayini. Translation: Synonyms: Esha, this male, Sakshat, directly, Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Amsha, partial representative, Jata, born, Loka, the entire world, Rirakshaya, with a desire to protect, Iyam, this female, Cha, also, Tatpara, very much attached to him, he, certainly, Shri, the goddess of fortune, Anuchachne, took birth, Anapayini, inseparable. Translation: In the form of King Prithu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared through a part of his potency to protect the people of the world. The goddess of fortune is the constant companion of the Lord, and therefore she has incarnated partially as Archi to become King Prithu's queen. Purport: In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that whenever one sees an extraordinary power, he should conclude that a specific partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present. There are innumerable such personalities, but not all of them are direct Vishnu Tattva, plenary expansions of the Lord. Many living entities are classified among these Shakti Tattvas. Such incarnations, empowered for specific purposes, are known as Shaktavesha avatars. King Prithu was such a Shaktavesha avatar of the Lord. Similarly, Arshi, King Prithu's wife, was a Shaktavesha avatar of the goddess of fortune. Text 7. Maitreya Uvacha Prasha प्रशान्ति स्म तां विप्रा गन्धर्व प्रवृत्ताः Jagu Mumusha Shumano Dhara Siddha Vrityanti Swa Striya Maitreya Uvacha. The great sage Maitreya said, Prasha Prasham Shanti Sma praised, glorified, Tam him Prithu, Vipra, all the Brahmanas, Gandharva, Pravaha, the best of the Gandharvas, Jagu chanted, Mumuchu released, Sumana Dharaha, showers of flowers, Siddha, the personalities from Siddhaloka, Drityanti, very dancing, Swaha, of the heavenly planets, Striya, women, the Apsaras. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Viduraji, at that time all the Brahmanas highly praised and glorified King Prithu, and the best singers of Gandharvaloka chanted his glories. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka showered flowers, and the beautiful women in heavenly planets danced in ecstasy. Text 8. Shankhaturiya Vedam नेतुर्तुभ्यो दिवि तत्र सर्व उपाचमुर्देवर्षिपितॄणां गानः शङ्खः conscious Turiya bugles, mridanga, drums, adya, and so on. Nedu vibrated. Dundubhya, kettle drums. Divi in outer space. Tatra there. Sarva all. Upachapnu came. Devarshi, demigods and sages. Pitrinam of forefathers. Gana groups. Translation. Conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums vibrated in outer space. Great sages, forefathers, and personalities from heavenly planets all came to Earth from various planetary systems. Text 9 and 10. Brahma Jagat Gurur Devai Sastrya Sureshwarai Vaina Vainyasya Dakshine Haste Drishtva Chihnam Gaprita पादयोररविन्दं च तां वैमाने अविकलं यस्य प्रथितं पतां चक्रं हंसं स परमेष्ठिना Brahma, the Lord Brahma, Jagat Guru, the master of the universe, Devai by the demigods, Saha accompanied, Astrya arriving, Sura Ishwarai with the chiefs of all the heavenly planets, Vaiyasya of Maharaj Prithu, the son of Vena, Dakshine right, Haste on the hand, Drishtva seeing, Chinnam mark, Gadprita of Lord Vishnu who carries the club, Padayo on the 2 feet, Arvindam lotus flower, Cha also Tam him, why certainly Mene he understood Hare of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kalam part of plenary expansion, Yasya whose apri- Apratihatam invincible Chakram disk, Amsha partial representation, Saha he Parameshtina of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. Lord Brahma, the master of the entire universe, arrived there accompanied by all the demigods and their chiefs. Seeing the lines of Lord Vishnu's palm on the King Prithu's right hand and impressions of lotus flowers on the sole of his feet, Lord Brahma could understand that King Prithu was a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one whose palm bears the sign of a disk as well as other such lines should be considered a partial representation or incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Purport. There is a system by which one can detect an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nowadays, it has become a cheap fashion to accept any rascal as an incarnation of God. But from this incident, we can see that Lord Brahma personally examined the hands and feet of King Prithu for specific signs. In their prophecies, the learned sages and Brahmanas accepted Maharaj Prithu as a plenary expansion of the Lord. During the presence of Lord Krishna, however, a king declared himself Vasudeva, and Lord Krishna killed him. Before accepting someone as an incarnation of God, one should verify his identity according to the symptoms mentioned in the Shastras. Without these symptoms, the pretender is subject to be killed by the authorities for pretending to be an incarnation of God.
And
Text 11.
Prabhu, how many more verses?
I think like few minutes, like 2 verses more. We have read now 55 minutes.
Text 11. तस्याभिक्षे अरब्धो ब्रह्मवादिभिः अभिषेचङ्किकान्यस्मै अज्रुः सर्वतो जना. Tasya, his Abhishekah coronation, Arabdha was raised Brahmanai by the learned Brahmanas. Brahmavadibi attached to the Vedic rituals. Abhishek Kani, various paraphernalia for performing the ceremony. Asmai, unto him. Ajaru, collected Sarvata from all directions. Jana, people. Translation: the learned Brahmanas, who are very attached to Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, then arranged for the king's coronation. People from all directions collected all the different paraphernalia for the ceremony. Thus everything was complete.
Haribol, one more.
Text 12. Sharit samudra kirayo nagagava khaga mriga dyuha kshiti sarva bhutani samajyapur upayanam. Synonyms: Sharit, the rivers; Samudra, seas, the seas; Giraya, the mountains; Naga, the serpents; Gava, the cows; Khaga, the birds; Mriga, the animals; Jiva, the sky; Shiti, the earth; Sarva Bhutani, all living entities; Sama Chakru. Prabhu, you can scroll down a bit. Collected. Upayanam, different kinds of presentations. Translation: all the rivers, seas, hills, mountains, serpents, cows, birds, animals, heavenly planets, the earthly planet, and all other living entities collected various presentations according to their ability to offer the king. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, now let's go to 6 Astakam prayers. We can maybe make it in time to that late Prabhu's lecture also. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha Shreyah Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
नाम्नामकारिपूता नित्यसर्वशक्तिचक्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशं हायजन्यनुग्रहा
Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Manina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari.
ऐनं नदनं नजनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीशकामये मम ईश्वरे भगवद्भक्तरे त्वयि दैनन्दितनुजकिङ्करं पतितं मम स्वयं भवां कृपया तव पादपङ्कजा स्थितधूलिशदशं चिन्तय नयनमगलतः श्रुतारया वदनं तद्वदया गिरा पुलकनिचिन्तं बभूकदा तव नाग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रापिशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहेण मे आस्तिष्यवापादरतं पिनस्व मामदर्शनमर्महतं करोतु वा यथा तावा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्य सेवनापरः
Haribol. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all the transcendental names. There are not even 100 for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself worth and thus drawing the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Oh, Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want to causeless devotion service for the purpose. O son of Maradananda Krishna, I am your eternal salvator, and yet some or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me in the ocean of dreams at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my heart choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the repetition of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation and considering it to be failure or more tears of sweat from my eyes as the torrents of pain, and I'm feeling all vacant in a world in your absence. I know that Krishna has my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Jai Shri Shishtakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai,
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai,
Jai.
Radha
Jai.
Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari
Hari Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Bhujan Makarya Disha Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or to be independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense to disobey the orders of a spiritual master or to consider him as an ordinary person.
Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or bishop in the proceedings of the Vedic version.
Fifth offense to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
Sixth offense, to do some mundane meditation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense, to consider chanting of Hare Krishna is one of the species with least activities offered in the Vedas as per the Karma Kanda.
Ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense, do not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be ignorant about chanting. Every devotee who plans to guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like that trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa
Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhubhyo
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Ha.
Antakoti
Thank you so
Vaishnava
much,
ki jai.
Prabhu.
Shri
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai,
Nitai Gaur Premanand Hari Hari
Jai,
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Jai
Bro,
Shri
we maybe
Prabhupada.
do 1 hour later the reading session. But
Okay.
thank you so much for joining early today. Hari Bol.